Church of Jerusalem is celebrating the solemnity of Corpus Domini. We took the opportunity to meet various churches in the Holy Land who promote the adoration of the Blessed Sacrament. The Mosaic Center in Bethlehem was inaugurated, a place that will offer training in the art of mosaics and tourism, strengthening the artistic and cultural heritage of the city. The Grotto of Milk in Bethlehem is known for the numerous testimonies of couples who place their trust in Our Lady and ask for the grace of a child. The Basma Bethlehem Rehabilitation Center opens up new paths for young people with mental disorders, teaching them a profession and striving to make them independent. The second special feature on the Virgin Mary for the month of May is dedicated to the various Marian manifestations in the world and represented in the Basilica of the Annunciation in Nazareth. On Thursday the 31st of May, after the solemn entry into the Basilica of the Holy Sepulchre and the prayer of praise, the Apostolic Administrator of the Latin Patriarchate of Jerusalem, Monsignor Pier Battista Pizzaballa, presided over the Mass of Corpus Domini. The solemn liturgy was concelebrated by the Apostolic Nuncio to Israel and the Apostolic Delegate for Jerusalem and Palestine, Monsignor Leopoldo Girelli, and among others by Bishop Kamal Batish and Giacinto Bulos Marcuzzo, who also commemorated their 25th year of the episcopate. The Eucharist is our whole life, and it is beautiful that Jesus really is with us. He said, "I will be with you always until the end of the world." It is the most beautiful thing for us priests, ministers of the Lord, to celebrate with the Lord, for Him and with Him. Even in our days, when speed and the immediately and now are apparently a social conquest, underlined Monsignor Pizzaballa in his homily, the Eucharist remains a mystery requiring time, acceptance and understanding. The Apostolic Administrator then went on to explain how the mystery of the Eucharist gradually enters our lives in an ever deeper and more intense way and forms our way of thinking, living and praying. This daily partaking of food, this daily familiarity with the Eucharist bread, with Jesus himself, who is love, gradually forms our thinking into daily growth, to a taste for expectation that is also filled by all our efforts, and where our life becomes a free gift. This is what the Eucharist calls us to be. Pope Francis says, "The Eucharist makes us strong so as to bear fruits of good works and live as true Christians." We must therefore always be close to Jesus in the Eucharist. Here in the Holy Land, there are many initiatives that promote this closeness. In Jerusalem, for example, at the Notre Dame Pontifical Institute, every day is a day of adoration.
I am very happy to be the chaplain of this church, who every day I am ready to expose the Blessed Sacrament, and little by little people start to come into the church to pray, because they know that there is always this Eucharistic hour in Notre Dame. And they pray and they stay there. We don't preach, we don't say any devotions, any prayers, just let people stay there and pray for their needs, for their intentions. And it is admirable to see the faith of the people.
Entering the Old City along the Via Dolorosa, at the fourth station marking the meeting of Jesus with his mother, is the Armenian Catholic Church. Here too, pilgrims and local Christians have the opportunity to stand before God.
In questo contesto, in questa città tre volte santa, l'adorazione trova veramente il suo...
In this three times holy city, adoration finds its ideal habitat. It is beautiful that after his historical presence, there is the continuity of his visible but equally true, strong presence, and of which men and women of today, the world of today, the holy city, is particularly in need of. We pray for peace above all.
Ha particolarmente bisogno. Preghiamo per chiedere pace soprattutto.
Moving to Galilee, northern Israel, we come to Nazareth, where next to the Basilica of the Annunciation, another initiative allows the faithful to adore Jesus in the Blessed Sacrament.
We had always adoration on Saturday, all night. I see Jesus said, when you have a lamp, you light a lamp, why put it under the bed? Put it on a bushel, on a stand. People can know. I say, this is Eucharistic, is a church. Why only for us, few people, we are there? Why you don't get this place, a chapel, other people can invite them to come to pray, to join us.
The doubting of St. Thomas, Ascension, Christ entering Jerusalem, the ecumenical and provincial councils, and the flight into Egypt. The art of mosaics exalts holy places even more. The Basilica of the Nativity of Bethlehem presents a whole range of mosaic decorations. In July 2016, restorers discovered the mosaic of an angel that had been hidden under the plaster for centuries. Together with the other 6, he is depicted in a procession towards the birthplace of Jesus. The Basilica is one of the oldest in the Holy Land, and is the only one to have been saved from the various waves of destruction. Its first construction by Saint Helena, mother of the Emperor Constantine, dates back to the 4th century. This artistic and cultural heritage is now enriched by the inauguration of the Mosaic Center in Bethlehem, thanks to a collaboration between the association Pro Terra Sancta, ATS, and the Mosaic Center of Jericho. The project, which is aimed at women and children, will offer professional training in the production and restoration of mosaics, as well as a qualification as tourist guides.
E poi, secondo me, il mosaico ha anche un valore molto particolare, sia perché appartiene alla tradizione, alla storia, alla cultura di questo.
In my opinion, mosaics have a very special value, both because they belong to the tradition, history and culture of this land, of the city of Bethlehem in Palestine, and because they indicate what Pope John Paul II called way of beauty. This is an extraordinary way to get to God and to express praise and thanksgiving, and we know why mosaic is a beautiful symbol of how we can live together. Many different tiles, many different colors, which, thanks to the hands of the artist, create a design that is harmonious, beautiful, and makes people happy.
Compongono un disegno che è armonico, bello e che fa gioire le persone.
The custos of the Holy Land took part in the inauguration ceremony. Brother Francesco Patton, representatives of partner organizations and local authorities. A moment to receive God's blessing for the new space in the center of Bethlehem, given by the custos of the Holy Land to all those who wish to be involved.
La formazione è una cosa importante per quanto riguarda la crescita delle persone.
Training is very important for the growth of people, and therefore a young person is certainly more likely to work and find work and create social development in the country and the city where he or she lives.
Abita anche creare socialità.
The beginning of a new project, but also an encounter between religions. This is why during the month of Ramadan, a period of fasting and prayer, an iftar dinner was offered to Muslim friends and also to Christians. An evening that recalls the meeting of St. Francis with the Sultan Malek el-Kamal 800 years ago in the Holy Land. Iftar is the meal that concludes the daily fast during Ramadan and introduces night prayers. The fast begins after the suhoor meal before dawn and continues during the daylight hours until iftar. Iftar, the meeting between different religions, and the inauguration of a social work. Altogether, these form a beautiful mosaic that shows men and women in procession and in search of God. Around 200 meters south of the Basilica of the Nativity in Bethlehem is the small chapel of the Milk Grotto. This place is highly symbolic, as is the white stone within it. According to a tradition of the 6th century, the Virgin Mary hid here with the infant Jesus before the flight into Egypt. Mary was breastfeeding and some drops of her milk fell onto the stone, which became completely white. For many centuries, this place was one of great veneration on the part of families coming from the Holy Land and all over the world, especially those wishing to have children. Both Muslims and Christians come to the Milk Grotto and show their great love for the Virgin Mary. They kneel in front of the icon and ask for the dust of the Milk Grotto. God has blessed also many Muslims for their sincere faith, so that they may conceive. Inside the Milk Grotto is a special place collecting letters arriving from many countries by a couple who received this grace. There are hundreds of stories each year. 21 years ago, Father Laurence archived more than 500 witnesses of miracles found in the archives of the grotto. The task began 2 years ago. In 2017, 450 miracles were catalogued, and this year, so far, 63. This is the place telling the story of the early days of the infant Jesus and the maternity of Mary. It is a place which collects witnesses arriving even from overseas by some who have not even visited the Holy Land but have entrusted friends with prayers.
Nós engravidamos uma primeira vez e só chegamos até a 5ª semana de gestação. Engravidamos uma segunda vez e perdemos na 8ª semana de gestação. Nossos exames eram...
I became pregnant for the first time and reached my 5th week. The second time I lost my child after 8 weeks. Our tests were normal and doctors said the 2 incidents were just down to chance. We never stopped praying. It was then that a good friend went to the Holy Land and prayed for us in the Milk Grotto and sent us an image of the Virgin Mary. At the same time, we asked for the intercession of Our Lady for the gift of maternity and paternity. A few months later, I got pregnant again, and this time was able to give birth. And here is our gift of God, Mateus, 2.5 months old.
Poucos meses depois, nós estávamos grávidas novamente. E dessa vez, conseguimos levar a gestação até o fim. E eis aqui o nosso presente de Deus, o Mateus, com 2 meses e meio.
Some stories even surprised medical doctors. Here are some pilgrims who came to the Milk Grotto from Poland and asked the Virgin Mary to bestow on them the grace of a pregnancy. This is a certificate issued in 2013 by a Polish hospital stating the sterile state of this woman. What happened is a grace of God who gave her a child through the intercession of the Virgin Mary. This is a miracle. From its founding in 1991, the Basma Rehabilitation Center in Bethlehem welcomes young disabled people for therapy through activities in agriculture, the textile industry, paper recycling and soap production.
The mission of the center is that of improving the situation of youth with mental problems. When they do get better, they manage to re-enter society with a greater rate of success. We have 33 beneficiaries of both sexes, even though we have more men.
The Basma Rehabilitation Center has its fair share of daily challenges, mainly due to the lack of funds, but its doors remain open to all. This is a place working for the training and rehabilitation of the disabled in order to make them independent and able to integrate in local society.
المضبوط كل شخص عنده قدرات بتختلف عن قدرات الشخص الثاني.
Every person is endowed with different gifts and abilities. We have the duty to unearth their potential in order to find that field where they may excel. At the end of their training, we discover true talent among them. If helped to feel independent, the students at the center increase their self-esteem and begin to realize that they are not different than anyone else.
الطلاب هدول انت بتعمل مع طلاب يعني عندهم إعاقات ذهنية فلازم تكوني معاهم.
The students suffer from mental disability and should not be treated as though they are different. I do my best to increase their self-esteem. They expect good guidance from us.
Experience teaches us how mental disability, independently from how serious it is, does not impede any manual ability. These students have proven how one can overcome one's own limitations and create a better society. As in the other shrines built around the Christian heritage of the Holy Land, also the Grotto of Nazareth is built to evoke a hic, the exact place where the Gospel events happened. Here the Virgin Mary heard the words of the Annunciation. Here she spoke her fiat. Here the Word became flesh. The building, consisting of a lower and a higher edifice, was built in the 60s based on a project by the Italian architect Giovanni Muzio to encapsulate the venerated grotto. It is divided into 3 naves outlined by cement pillars converging into one single octagonal space. All this is covered by a large dome in the shape of an inverted flower, terminating in a lantern in turn surmounted by a cross, reaching a height of 66 meters. Along the walls of the side aisles are various mosaics of the Virgin Mary donated by different nations.
È biblico, no? Tutte le generazioni mi chiameranno beata. Tutti I santuari mariani del mondo.
It is the biblical, all generations will call me blessed. All the Marian shrines of the world bring their culture, their history, and we see how Christianity is embodied in history, in people's lives. Every person arriving, African, Japanese, Korean, everyone arrives here and they find their Madonna. Our Lady is only one, but they find the reception of God, a welcoming Mary through their own shrine represented here.
Arrivano qui e trovano la loro Madonna. La Madonna è una sola, no? Però trovano l'accoglienza di Dio, l'accoglienza mariana di Maria attraverso il santuario, il loro santuario rappresentato qua.
Mary, Mother of Jesus, represented in her various Marian manifestations in the various regions of the world. For Father Bruno Variano, the House of Our Lady is always open.
Ma la casa della mamma deve essere aperta.
The House of Our Mother must be open. That is why the Shrine of the Annunciation is open from 5:30 a.m. to 9 p.m. without interruption. Pilgrims can come after 6. They can say their silent prayers, be in silence in front of the Blessed Virgin's house. And then we also have night liturgies. We have a candlelit procession every Saturday, the Adoration on Thursdays, and the Rosary with the Mysteries of Nazareth on Tuesdays.
Il rosario con I misteri di Nazareth il martedì.
From Nazareth to the whole world.
Abbiamo già 8 TV che trasmettono tutte le celebrazioni di Nazareth. È bello perché arriviamo in Italia, arriviamo in Croazia.
We have 8 channels broadcasting all the celebrations from Nazareth. It's so beautiful when we arrive in Italy, in Croatia, in the Arab world, in Lebanon or Syria, where there is war, but where there are Christians who save as much battery power as they can to be able to follow the adoration and the candlelit procession on Saturdays. We reach Brazil, South America, Portugal, Mexico, the United States, and we are continuing to make this the place of the Incarnation, where God became man, where God has loved mankind concretely, reaching into families, homes, in the heart of many people who now feel so loved by God in their humanity.
Sorelle che possono sentirsi così amati da Dio nella loro umanità.